Hey ladies and gentlemen, Casual Crono here. This video we are going to focus on Grasta. Specifically, we're going to start touching on all of the ores, the ways you can customize your Grasta. And I just want to say I'm feeling good. I am enjoying this video. I have been awake since about 5 a.m. my time. It is currently 8 p.m. to give you some perspective. Today, Another Eden had their live stream about the upcoming Crono Cross Collab extension, where they mentioned Glenn and Alt Nikoko is coming out and everything, so I'm really excited about that. I was pretty pumped up. I've been looking forward to making this video for a very long time. And just to kind of give you some behind the scenes stuff before we get into the ores. So I watched the live stream, got excited, went on Reddit, chatted with some people, and then I started recording this morning. I spent probably about 5-ish hours recording footage, and sometimes I would record something and delete it because I didn't like the way it flowed. And probably in the early afternoon, I threw everything in Adobe Premiere, saw that it was about 3.5 hours long, went, okay, Ores is definitely going to be a separate video. And then I spent probably about an hour or so editing the footage and recording the summary. Because, you know, every good teacher, you draw to a conclusion at the end of the day. You just don't dismiss the class when the bell rings. And then, of course, since it was a 3.5 hour long video, I had to sit there and play other games, oh no, while it was exporting. And then at that point, of course, I'm starting to get hungry because all I've done all day was binge Mountain Dews. So, I'm so going to get diabetes. It runs in the family too. I really shouldn't. I think I'm on Mountain Dew number 6 now. At least it's not monster drinks. Then I'm getting hungry and I'm like, oh yeah, we have some leftover chicken in the fridge. So I went and I cooked up some red curry Thai. I like to cook it. I really enjoy it. And then my son comes down. He's 10, and he's like, I'm hungry. And I've been teaching him how to cook. And he loves to cook, but he likes to only cook like the same 5 things all the time. So my wife and I, we cut up some chicken for him, but he went and fried it himself, seasoned it himself, poured out some soy sauce. He likes the teriyaki style. And he cut up some cucumbers, and I had cooked some rice for the curry, so he had helped himself to some of the rice. So, you know, he's doing great. My daughter comes downstairs and has like one nibble of one piece of chicken and goes back upstairs. You know, teenage years. You know, spend some time with my wife, and now here it is. Of course, I had to get my dailies done in Another Eden. I had to watch my ads, I had to run my red key dungeons and all of that before the reset. So it's been a long day, but I'm still excited. As I edited my first video, I really liked the information in there. I'm a little bit worried that 3.5 hours is way too long, but Grasta to me is like the most complex thing about Another Eden. If you can finally wrap your head around Grasta, then you can have tremendous success in the game. And yeah, we content creators, people on YouTube, people on Discord, you know, we can say, equip this person with this, use this skill, on turn 1 do this, on turn 2 do this, and yeah, you'll probably win some fights that way. But there's going to be new fights in the future. We're not able to, well, one of us is the guide master, and he's awesome. But most of us will not sit there and, you know, hold each other's hands through every single possible scenario. The absolute best thing I think I can do for you all, because I had trouble learning it myself, it would have been helpful for me to have some type of mentor. But the best thing I think I can do is kind of teach you the philosophy behind Grasta and Ores and how to equip people and how to identify roles and how to approach playing this game. And hopefully, even if you absorb just some of this, your game will be easier, you'll be more successful, and of course when you're more successful you're having fun, and when you're having fun you play more and then you want to learn more. One of those, positive cycles. So here we are, let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 hours later, and I'm about to record part 2 about ores. So that's been my day. How was your day? I got some leftover red curry here, and I guess let's go ahead and start kind of just with a summary of the previous video. Alright, there's Mountain Dew, I don't know how many number. Alright, so I've been using this team as kind of like a benchmark. I've shown this team in the previous video how they do without any Grasta, and then how they do with some Grastas, and then how they do when we add in like shareable Grastas and pain Grastas and things like that. A very general recap. First, use the wiki. You just type in Grasta. You go to the Grasta page, you find out when you can access Grasta, and there's this attack, life, support, special, valor, chant, ore. You click on one, and it lists every single attack Grasta in the game. It tells you if it's shareable or not. It tells you what stats you get by equipping it. It tells you what it does. It tells you what the upgrade does, and it tells you where to go to get it. You will benefit tremendously by running present Garulea another dungeon over and over and over until you're sick of it, and then keep running it, and you will probably spend literally about 1 month, give or take, collecting junk and buying out the Nagsham merchant. By doing so, you are setting yourself up for success for the long term. I did this probably 2.5 years ago now, starting to push 3 years ago, and I'm still, to this day, using the Grasta from present Garulea another dungeon. And I don't see that changing anytime soon unless they come out with some type of upgrade where it's like power of extreme gale, wind damage, plus 50%, and the upgrade also affects all party members. Until that day happens, I am still using the things I found in present Garulea another dungeon. Once you finish your month-long slog in present Garulea, you move on to Antiquity Garulea. And that one, it doesn't have... You don't have to spend quite as long there. The zombie merchant sells Grasta that aren't really that important and useful, at least in my experience. However, the random drops in there will drop the power of pains once I scroll and find them. Here we go. Antiquity Garulea another dungeon. The zombie merchant sells all these power of pains and power of poisons, and it is also a random reward when you complete the zone. And you want to farm a lot of these. It's not enough just to have a single power of pain hammer. You want usually at least 3 of everything. And since it's to some degree random, you really could spend a lot of time in Antiquity Garulea. But my suggestion, if you have 1 or 2 or 3 damage dealers that you use all the time, like I have Suzette in this team as my damage dealer, so I would run it, if Suzette was my only damage dealer, I would run it over and over and over until I had 3 power of pain lances or 3 power of poison lances or some combination. And you might get lucky and that might happen just in a few days. But it's a good idea just to go ahead and run Antiquity Garulea over and over a lot. You can get a lot of gold lumps with completion rewards, and that will pay for a lot of the upgrades. The amount of fragments that drop are a lot higher than present Garulea, so you can get all of the supplies you need to bind, awaken these Grastas. So just go ahead and plan on spending another month in Antiquity. And that's kind of sort of where we stopped, at least with the acquisition. We did talk about one additional set of Grasta, the Almighty Power set. If you scroll to this section of the wiki, you'll notice that right off the bat, a lot of the first Almighty Powers are from Charl Plains Cat Road. And if we go there, oops, we are in Garulea. In antiquity, if you run around as Varu the cat and complete some quests, you will gain access to the Cat Road. It's this exit over here to the east. And there is a boss there that you can fight. I think it's once a day. It might be once every 6 hours like horrors, I'm not sure. It's a relatively easy boss in today's standards. If you have any type of strong DPS character, like I was able to kill it with Suzette without any trouble. You don't need like the Cestas and the Verdantas of the world. But you can kill that boss, collect some items that you can then trade for these Almighty Powers, Cat Lover, Eastern, Glasses, and so forth. As your team gets stronger, go ahead and use this wiki list, look up locations, and to start collecting more. Like there's an Almighty Power Phantom Thieves of Hearts. It is shareable. And all you have to do is defeat Caroline and Justine. If you've never fought them before, it might be a fun little challenge to do. Consider all these like little quests. Almighty Power Miglance. You have to complete the last day of Miglance. Not sure what that is? You can click on it in the wiki, and it gives you a summary. Suggested level 55. Okay, that's right in the area we need to be. Complete main story, chapter 25. Definitely not a problem if you are equipping Grasta. You've gone way past chapter 25. Looks like you have to complete a few other items over here. But then you just go and do this quest, and the reward is the Almighty Power Miglance Palace. Looks like it was released way back in 2021. So use this list. You might not have access to all the areas yet. If you haven't gotten super far in the game, you're probably not doing Edax, another dungeon, for example. But go ahead and start collecting as many shareable Grastas as you can. You never know when they're going to come in handy. Some are just locked behind some super boss somewhere. Some you get during the progression of the main storyline. Some you get as rewards in the Astral Archives. So go ahead and start getting as many shareable Grastas as you can. And we scroll, and we scroll, and we scroll, and continue to scroll. Alright, we're back at the top. And then the other main point of the 3.5 hour long video, and we're kind of starting to put this all together. My channel, the very first video on my channel, in the university section, is that showing up on? It is. Nice. Okay. So the very first thing I did, which has already gotten 900 views, thank you very much. Team Building 101, identifying roles and choosing your characters. Everything in this game is balanced, you need to understand what role does Seven have? What role does Curio have? What role does Suzette have? Once you really lock down that concept and you know what to look for, that alone makes this game so much easier. If Suzette is a damage dealer, which she is, then you already have some idea of which Grasta to give her. And what I suggested, and this is me personally talking, this is not a hard and fast rule. There will be some people that probably disagree, but in general, I have had success. Tanks, just like any RPG, give them Grasta that improve their health. Support characters. Support characters can be geared one of two ways. You could also give them health which if the tank ever fails or gets knocked in the back row, it gives your team more survivability. Go ahead and go back to that. So if you have more health, you're less likely to get knocked out, and you can, continue to fight. The other option for support characters is to give them support Grasta, shareable Grasta. So, spoiler alert, I will attempt to add it in as a graphic like I did the previous video. But what you want to do, whoever your damage dealer is, spoiler alert for personalities, because some personalities pop up during character quests and whatnot. Suzette, Sweet Tooth, and Lost Lab are two of her personality traits. Well, we use the wiki. We look at the Almighty Power section, and we can see that there is a Sweet Tooth Almighty Power Grasta. That's shareable. And if we keep looking, we also see there is a Lost Lab shareable Grasta. And it tells you where to go to get these. Get them, upgrade them, awaken them, and then give them a dormant ore. And your support characters like Curio, if you don't want to gear them for health, you can give them those shareable Grasta. So Curio also is a Sweet Tooth and Lost Labs. So he can hold the Sweet Tooth Grasta, the Lost Lab Grasta, and the Almighty Power Lost Lab. And all three of those, because they're fully awakened and shareable, are buffing Suzette's damage. So Suzette doesn't have to equip them, someone else can. And they could even be in the back row, and they still take effect. So that's where I kind of left off with the previous video. We talked about what Grasta are appropriate to equip, pains, health, and then for support characters, health or shareable Grasta, kind of your choice. What we're going to talk about in this video is how to improve these further. If I check the power of pain, it's still blue. It could be upgraded further. And to do that, we need something called ores. And if we scroll up to the Grasta section, you'll notice there's attack Grasta, there's life Grasta, support Grasta, special Grasta, very short list, Valor Chant Grasta, which in today's 2026, another Eden world, Valor Chant Grasta are basically just stat sticks at this point. We don't really use the Valor Chants that much, and if you do, it's usually not a make or break situation. So it's basically just an extra like 15 intellect and 15 speed type of stick. Some give health, some give power, etc. But the very last category up here is ores. And I'm just checking to see if the screen looks okay. All right. They are alphabetical, so you can see all of the many ores in the game. In addition, you can see where they appear. Rose with Thorns ore, for example, and that's one we're going to talk about a lot, it increases the damage that you do by 15%. That's all damage. That's type damage, that's non-type damage, everything. However, it increases your MP consumption by 50%. So if a skill costs 100 MP and you have Rose with Thorns equipped, now it's going to cost 150 MP. So it'll drain your MP a lot quicker. Not usually an issue in today's game because there's so many ways to regenerate MP. Years ago, that was a big problem. So this ore improves damage, and you can get from future Garulea either inside the instance itself or as a random reward at the end, or from running Underworld over and over and over. So the previous video we focused on present Garulea and antiquity Garulea to get the Grasta. This video we are going to focus on future and Underworld. That's where you get the ores. So it flows really well in that regard. So we know that future Garulea Underworld has ores. Edax Unigan, Jasmine, a lot of other places have ores, and some ores are results from quest rewards, from Astral Archives, and then from quests, Tower of Wisdom. Like, there's ores all over the place, kind of like Grasta, Omegopolis. So especially like the attack Grasta, this can get overwhelming really fast for a lot of people. They see this list, their eyes kind of glaze over, they're like, just tell me what to get. Please, that's all I want to know. So that's exactly what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you right now, the most common ores for damage dealers, Bullseye ore is pretty much a must. Every good damage dealer has a Bullseye ore, or the Bullseye effect somehow worked in their system. The next one was the one we talked about earlier, Rose with Thorns, an extra 15% damage. Yes, please. MP consumption does not happen during an AF burst for most characters, so if you're blowing an AF burst over and over and over again, it's basically just a free 15% damage increase. And as I said, nowadays there's a lot of ways to restore your MP during the fight. You don't have to hop in the back row, the reserves, and wait a few turns anymore. So Rose with Thorns is pretty much a free 15% damage increase. Those two are probably the most common ores that you want to collect. After those two, it becomes a little more like personal choice. And since we're focusing mostly on future Garulea and Underworld, why don't we go ahead and bring those pages up. So future Garulea is accessible, and I need to remember at what point. I actually have it written down on my desktop. Future Garulea is accessible at chapter 74, and Underworld is accessible by the end of chapter 84. There we go. You can also just look it up on the wiki. Like present Garulea and Antiquity Garulea, you can get maximum rewards if you have 360 Shadow or 360 Light on your team. Not sure how much you have. On the party screen, I can see right up here, I have 304 Light on this team. So if I went and ran Future Garulea, I would get 4 rewards at the end, not all 5. And yes, if you're just starting out in the game, it might be really, really, really difficult to reach 360 of anything. And that's okay. We all grow over time. So just do your best. If the best you can do is 3 rewards or 4 rewards, go with that. There's no harm in that. Eventually you will get to a point where you can assemble a team for full rewards. So just like present and antiquity, there are different maps. And why don't we just go ahead and kind of skim over this and do one quick walkthrough. All right, completion rewards. These are the ores that you will have access to as early as chapter 74. For damage dealers, Rose with Thorns appears in future Garulea. You saw that for tanks, they want health, and support characters want health. Well, guess what? There's an HP ore for 300 health. If you can equip 3 Grasta, and each one has an HP ore, you can give each character 900 more health. That sounds really good, particularly for tanks. You're going to need a bunch of dormant ores to upgrade your shareable Grastas. So you want to go ahead and collect dormant ores regardless. Other than those, insult to injury can be helpful early on. If you're attacking an enemy and you're hitting their weak point, it's a flat 10% increase in damage. Now if you have the weak point Grasta, it doesn't stack with that, or if you have, there's probably a badge or two out there that have weak point damage as well. So it's not stackable with those, but if you don't have any of those, it is an extra 10% damage if you're hitting weak points. Last Stand Ore is also very helpful. Adversity. It adds 30% damage for each enemy in battle. And let's go ahead and showcase that one. Actually, why don't we just go ahead and showcase a few of these? Kind of begin with the end in mind philosophy. 9 Lives Ore is helpful. It applies Hold Ground once in a battle. Sometimes it's good to have that on your tanks or your support characters. Other than those, the other ore, Reversion Ore is also very helpful at times. You can remove an ore and use it again somewhere else with Reversion Ore. You can also purchase some of those ores, so you can buy HP ores if that's what you're lacking, or you could buy Insult to Injuries, you could buy Rose with Thorns, and all that is in future Garulea. So let's start with the end in mind. So here is my party. 7, built for health. Curio, built to share. Suzette, built to do damage. And Garum Barrel, built for health. Saria, in the back, is holding some shareable Grasta that you can get from present Garulea, another dungeon, and the Astral Archives. And, since Curio is just holding a bunch of Grasta, let's move him in the reserves. His skills really aren't helping that much. We do have Transient Glory, which improves the party for the whole power for the whole party, but it also buffs sword, katana, axe users, and Suzette, of course, is lance. When a type zone is deployed, it does beef up her wind damage some. So I will lose that, but there's plenty of other people that do that. Steadfast Melody improves physical resistance and restores some HP. And then Glimmer Strike, it inflicts pain, but Suzette can do that. It improves speed, which doesn't really help my team much. So we're going to start using Curio as a character in the reserves. That means we need, preferably, a wind user in the front line. Now, I don't know who you have access to, but this is whom I have access to. And yes, there's a lot of them, but I've been playing a while. There are 41 wind characters that I can pick from, and some are really good, like there's Nikoko ES. She's not Stellar Awakened. And I do have all of these for the Stellar Awakened group. So, who should I replace Curio with? We have a tank, not really the best of tanks, but we have a tank. We have a damage dealer, and we have one support character, so we need another support character. And I'm thinking, let's grab Melody AS. She's one of my favorites. She can deploy a wind zone automatically at the end of the first turn. She can heal and restore MP. That has been a bit of an issue with this party, though as Suzette got stronger through Grasta, we used less turns, and therefore MP wasn't quite as important. She can also set pain, and she can reduce wind resistance with Dark Drill, and she can buff up the party with Magical Smash. She can improve wind type attacks by 20%. That's not quite the 50 that Curio is doing, but it also improves critical damage. So we will go ahead and include Melody in this group, and we want her in that position. Let's see. My general rule of thumb, I usually put tanks all the way to the right. I usually have the damage dealers after the first two characters, because the first two characters are usually like the zone setters, setting pain, buffing or debuffing, stuff like that. Yeah, let's go with that. So what should we gear Melody with? She is a support character. So let's see what is available kind of early on in the game. Oh, I know. Do I have any tempering rings? Yes. We'll give her a tempered ring. It's only a +3. Gives a little bit of hit points. Let's try that again with less fail. There we go. Since I view her as support, I look for health. So what did Curio have? He had a 300 HP badge. Sure. Grasta. She is support. She needs extra health. She's at 3,600. So let's give her the 1s, not 7s. I was trying to avoid ones with ore right now. Alright, let's just give her power of regen, another power of regen. And let's see, what else can I give her that's not too overpowered? Sound body, IDA school. Is that one of the Grasta that is available right now? Life. Sound body. IDA. Ooh, no. Trial the Electric Shadow Extreme. Well, Chapter 79 gives us the sound body shareable staff Grasta. So it's a little bit ahead of future Garulea, but not far ahead. We're going to be talking about Underworld anyway, so let's just go ahead and give her the sound body staff. It is fully upgraded, which means any staff user in the party now has an extra 300 health, which means not only does she have extra health, 7 has 300 extra health. Still don't have any sidekicks, which is fine. Alright. So the purpose of this video, I'm going to show you where we're at, and then once you equip some of these ores, how much stronger you get as a result. Okay? So we have 7 with 3 health Grasta, Melody with 2 very weak health Grasta and a sound body, Suzette with 3 power of pains, and Garum with 3 health Grasta. Back row, we have Saria holding shareable Lance Grasta, and Curio holding shareable Personality Grasta. If you did not watch my previous video, I fought the Dark Heavenly Tears multiple times, and I kind of showed a progression. The first time took like 13 turns to kill, and then the second time when I equipped Suzette with just a few Grasta, it dropped down to 10 turns. And then by the end of the video, I forget it, I want to say it was like 7 turns, because Suzette kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger. We swapped out Elemental Grasta with Pain Grasta. Alright, so first turn, we need Rage. So there's our Rage skill. The reason they're already with Pain and Poison is because Suzette is Stellar Awakened. If you don't have Stellar Awakened Suzette, then you are probably going to be using Demonic Thrust on the first turn. I'm doing it anyway because it's a reduction of power and intellect in addition to applying Pain and Poison. We're going to Depravity. Depravity inflicts pain and ignores target resistance, and it also further weakens the enemy by 25%. It gives the party a 50% damage barrier. Technically, I think it's actually a little bit higher. I have 4 wind allies in the front line, so the debuff effect is improved a whole lot. And then 7 is going to deploy a wind zone. So that is turn number 1.
How's this? Behold, the ancient despair!
And now we're in an awakened wind zone because that's one of Melody's little tricks. At the end of the first turn, she will consume... Oh, what's the word? It's not depravities. She sticks something on the team. Might still be on there. I think she consumes it. Oh, it's been a while. I could look it up. Bottom line is, at the end of the first turn, if no one's knocked out, we get an awakened wind zone. Alright, so turn number 2. We are going to reduce enemy power. Suzette is going to start attacking. And her damage is going to be buffed because she has pain, Grasta, and the enemies have pain on them. And then the 2 characters in reserve are holding Grasta that buff up her damage even more as long as she's at full health. And even some Grasta regardless of her health. We're going to go ahead and Magical Smash. That improves wind type attacks and critical damage. And 7 is just kind of standing there doing whatever he feels like doing. So. Now Suzette, I think for the first time, killed all of the ads in one hit. Now we do have an awakened wind zone active, so that helps. But you're starting to see the additional power here. Alright, we are on turn number 3. The enemies have pain, they have been debuffed. So instead of doing another demonic thrust, I'm just going to do another dragon assault again. The new enemies do not have rage, so I am going to go ahead and inflict rage, just in case. We're going to Dark Drill this time. That will reduce wind resistance. And 7 is just going to stand there and look handsome, I guess. We'll just do another Rampaging Gale. Alright, what just happened there in turn number 3, Suzette is getting so powerful already that she was able to one-shot all the ads again and bring Dark Heavenly Tears down to her final HP stopper. Now, if I blow the AF gauge, we're gonna win. I mean, we're gonna win anyway, but I am trying to feature Grasta. So here we are now on turn number 4. We have new ads. Go ahead and inflict rage. I could Demonic Thrust and weaken them, or I could Dragon Assault and attempt just to go ahead and beat up the main enemy, Dark Heavenly Tears. If I beat her, I win the fight. So I'm going to go ahead and attempt to just flat out win with Dragon Assault. We're going to go ahead and Depravity, just in case Suzette doesn't go, because sometimes characters get stunned or knocked out or whatever. Depravity will give me that damage barrier and reduce the enemy's power some. And then 7 is just kind of sitting around looking pretty again. The fact that I have a tank that's useful, a damage dealer that's useful, one support character that's useful, and one support character that's sitting around doing nothing, if I was looking to upgrade this team, 7 would probably be the next person to go. The fact that I can't find anything for him to do once he's deployed a wind zone is not a good sign that he's a good fit for the team. But for right now, he's doing what I need him to do. So let's see if Suzette goes and is able to finish this fight. We double check, there is pain on the enemy. If there's not pain, we definitely need to apply that before the damage dealer goes. And sure enough, turn 4, Suzette wiped the floor with Dark Heavenly Tears. So that's where we are right now. With the Grasta that we can get from, let's find a future Garulea link. Actually, let's go to Ores. Really? I can't click on Future Garulea from here? Okay, fine. We'll do it the hard way. Future Garulea Continent, another dungeon. Alright, so I mentioned that Rose with Thorns and... where'd it go? Oh, Bullseye, but that's right, Bullseye is not in Future Garulea. So I mentioned that Rose with Thorns is a good one to give to damage dealers. How do you do this? You know what? Before you can add ore, we need to get the ore. So why don't we just do that? Remember, it's been a long day, and I don't have a script or anything written out. I'm just kind of winging this when I record, so... Alright. Well, let's just use this team. Might be a little slower, but... Actually, yeah, let's just use my farm team. Y'all don't want to watch me slowly slog through Future Garulea, another dungeon. Alright. So once you've run your present Garuleas, once you've run your Antiquity Garuleas, you've spent probably about a month in each. So about 2 months later, if you make some more progress in the main storyline, I think I said chapter 74, you will open up Future Garulea Continent. And let's scroll up to the top. Now this one, fortunately, you do not need to farm nearly as long as the first two. Once you get here, I basically just farmed it long enough to get a couple of ores, and I moved on to Underworld, because pretty much all of the ores that I want here also drop in Underworld. There's really no reason to spend a lot of time in Future Garulea, in my opinion. There are some armors to get. The Guidance Bracelet, Necklace, and Ring. Those are very, very good armors. Early on, they improve your type attack by 10%. In fact, is that what I've had equipped on Suzette? Yeah, she's using the armor from Future Garulea, the Guidance Bracelet. And it improves her wind damage by 10%. Alright, so Future Garulea Continent. Okay, right before you enter, you need to check a few things. Do you have 360 light or 360 shadow, or as close as possible? You do want to maximize the rewards. Yes. Do we have the character that gains light and shadow points with us? If you're not sure who that is, the wiki will tell you. Future Garulea, Serene. If you bring her along, she has a chance at, I think she's light points. So let's... Oh, I should just do the whole thing with Verdanta. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So let's find Serene. I think, if I remember right, she's Wind and... or Earth and Fist. I might have her AS form equipped. Oh boy. Oh, yeah, there she is. She is Fist. Yay. And she is Earth. Oh, go me. My memory is not fried yet. That calls for another Mountain Dew. Alright, so we have 132 light points between her and Verdanta. And Verdanta is not equipped with anything, and I am not worried about that at all. Let's even remove the Power of Pains. In a proper team building situation, you would throw a character on here who could do pain, you would throw a zone setter, you would throw a tank, etc. Verdanta is one of those special cases. She's so powerful, she doesn't need any of that, and you're going to see her in action. Cesta's the same way. So at this point, all I need are 4 more characters to reach 360 light. So let's reset that. we want light characters. And then in my case, I just look to see who am I leveling. I am leveling Shiguri, so let's throw him in there. I am leveling Zuna's getting pretty close. Eva is a pretty popular character, useful. Yuna, amazing character. I'm at 316 now. Who else do I want to level while I'm in there? Some of these characters are level capped, like Valette's cap is 90 because I don't have enough stellar points to go further. Let's throw in, I think all the non-Stellar Awakened characters are all maxed out, so it has to be a Stellar Awakened character. Who should we throw in? Izuka? Best girl Izuka? Sure, why not?
You want the best? You got the best.
I did say best girl, thank you. Alright, so we are at 360 light or more, so I get full rewards, and I have Serene in my party. Now, if you want to go through all the trouble of equipping obtaining XP badges, any of the Cat Queen's gear for the extra experience, you can. This is just a quick video, so I'm not going to bother. Alright, so we are set up, ready to go. Let's go to future Garulea continent, another dungeon. If this is your first time here, feel free to explore, talk to people. You can buy Jadeites. So if you've been struggling to get enough Jadeites to fully awaken some of this Grasta, because I remember early on I had trouble collecting fragments. I had trouble getting gold to do all the awakenings. You know, you're very poor as you're first leveling up. So the game realizes this. You can get a lot of gold from Antiquity, Garulea, another dungeon. All the gold lumps that drop at the end of runs do add up over time. And they started throwing in characters that you could trade 180 ore gets you a Jadeite. So if you don't need any ore, you can go ahead and start blowing it on Jadeites. So I'll let you look around the rest of town. This isn't a future Garulea walkthrough. When you go to the west and go into the wastelands, there are some sparkle points, and I think it's every 4 or every 5 runs, a person appears here and just hands you, is it a dormant ore or reversion ore? It's been a while. Let's see. Yes. Every 4 runs, there's a beast boy near the entrance, and he gives you 1 free reversion ore. So you can slowly collect reversion ores, which are needed to basically un-upgrade a Grasta. It reverts it to its normal, like, light blue state. The reversion ore gets used up, but you get back whatever other ore you stuck on it. That's a lot of words. And I don't think I can go to the status page. Alright, I'll try to remember to explain reversion ore in a moment. Anyway, I usually just go collect the sparkles. The horrors will always drop a sparkle as well.
I won't want to run away.
My naked Verdanta. Sprinting raid is preemptive and is massive and will kill just about everything in this dungeon. And it uses no MP, so I can use it indefinitely. If the weather changes, I want to say if it's raining. It doesn't say on the wiki, but if you go up here, you can go and get the rare drop from this place called a Spirit Stone Fragment. The Spirit Stone Fragment is what you can trade for the Guidance Bracelet, the Guidance Ring, and the Guidance Necklace. And you can also trade it for other items, but those would definitely be the top 3 things that you swap for. Anyway, moving on. We collect all the altered ores, and just like the others, there's a series of quests. You can work your way through the other areas, And if you buy the right item, you can warp to whatever parts in the dungeon you want. That's a little bit new. So let's go back to Angle. This vendor in the Angle settlement, if you have really been hoping to get that insult to injury ore or that rose with thorns ore and it never seems to drop, if you just save up enough altered ores or get lucky and get one spirit stone fragment that you don't need, you can trade it for that ore. So they found a way, the developers have found a way to speed up the acquisition of which ores you want. So that way you don't have to leave it to complete random chance like some of the other zones. This guy collects something. I forget if he's the guy that had the armor. And as you complete quests, that opens up new areas. The first two, Present Garulea and Antiquity Garulea, you just had a choice between two zones, and you picked whichever zone you wanted. Here, you have to basically work through the first zone, complete a quest, the next time you're in here, and then that opens up like the next area. Once you've opened up all the areas, then you can travel freely between them. So we're going to go ahead and go to Sky Fortress Isa. And there are some more vendors here. And you can also buy an item. Cat Deity's Beads. If you buy that, that allows you to warp from one Hokora to another. So if I want to go to the Contaminated Pit, I can warp there. If I want to go back to Isa, I can. So if this is your first time in Isa, you might not have all of these options that I do. Just keep playing Future Garulea over and over for a while. And, I mean, you're going to anyway because you want some of the ores here. But eventually you'll have all this stuff opened up. Alright, once you decide what zone to go to, and let's go up here, you can only choose one. You can choose the Contaminated Pit, you can choose the prison ship, you can choose KMS, or you can go to the Satellite Stadium. Once you've made your choice, you cannot return to the towns and buy anything further. So if you planned on buying any ore, do it now or forever hold your peace, at least until the next run. So we're going to go ahead and go to KMS. There's one more horror here, and it will drop some more spirit fragments. Spirit fragments? Altered ores, sorry. The chests have fragments, so if you've been hurting for fragments, running this will get you those fragments that you need. I have it set to repeat, so Verdanta remembers the last skill she used, which was Sprinting Raid, so I can just click Attack and win, because Verdanta is Verdanta. These things, you can buy items to destroy them. Each zone, I think, has one area that you can only get to by destroying that item, and it usually holds something good. So aside from that, you don't really need to open up all the others. For the most part, the only reason you're running Future Garulea, another dungeon, is to either buy the ores here or hope that the ores that you want drop at the end of the dungeon. And that's it.
You shall fall with haste.
And at least long enough to get the 3 guidance armors.
A well-fought battle.
Alright, here's the horror. Mr. owns a big boy, which is Wave Emissary. Verdanta does not care.
Life is not ours to keep.
If you look at the wiki, we are in KMS. If you mouse over, these enemies have 40,000 health, 34,000, 30,000, 62,000. The horrors, we just beat up the Wave Emissary, it has 920,000. Verdanta naked is doing naked is doing 22 million in damage. I told you she's an I win button. Alright, if you need all the fragments, feel free to run around and collect all of the treasure chests. I don't need the fragments, so I have not been too good about that. There's one more chest over here. There's a small chance of chant scripts in the zone if you use the wiki. There's a less than 1% chance that a chant script will drop from the final chest. So here is the final chest. Are we getting a chant script today? No. But we get crystals of attack, which many of you might still need a lot of. And then the boss. Starting to calculate damage. Oh yeah, we'll calculate this. And if you have 360 light or 360 shadow, now is the chance that you will get 5 rewards. Some of them might be ore. And Serene might get a light point. Or you might be completely disappointed. Alright, see, I got a dormant ore, I got a poison enhance ore, I got a treatise. I don't need it, but I got one. And then it still drops the old school like power of currents and everything. So if you still really want any elemental Grasta, you can get them from here. But at this point in the game, you're probably sticking with pains or poisons for your DPS. So these kind of just become worthless. That's why I have a whole bunch of them. Alright, light point? No, no light point. I don't know why I did that. I was at full health. Okay. So I think at this point we beat up Suzette's true manifest. Why did I just warp to... That's what happens when I try to talk and do things at the same time. One thing at a time, Crono. One thing at a time. Alright, let's go back to our little sample wind team here. Alright, just a refresher of what everyone's equipped with. We have Health Grasta, Power of Pains, Health Grasta, and Health Grasta. We are in New Nagsham. We are going to face Big Bag Baddy. Because at this point, we just saw Suzette basically do a 4-turn clear of her manifest fight, and we really can't improve on that with the HP stoppers. So now, to showcase damage increases, it'd be easier if we went to Bag Baddies. So we're going to blow the AF gauge. We're going to do the 3s. Then we're going to do the 2s, and then we're going to do the 1s. And we're not going for maximum damage or anything. I'm just doing this to give us a baseline of where we're at with damage. So, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, and now all 1s. Dragon Assault is the main damage dealer here. You see it's doing 34 million a hit right now. And the more times she does it, see there was a 48 million per hit. It's 57, 58 million per hit. Remember, the more Dragon Assaults she does, the more she beefs herself up to 3 times. So we just did 315 million in damage. So, looking at the wiki, the ores that you can get from running future Garulea over and over and over again, Rose with Thorns, improves damage. Adversity can improve damage if there's more than one enemy. Insult to Injury can can improve damage if there's weak points. And there's HP ores, which allow for more health. So those are the big four, I would say, that are the most important, aside from reversion ores and dormant ores. You could improve critical rates and other things as well. A lot of weapons these days come with like 100% critical rate. So unless you're going for like overcrit or something, it's not too important. So, Suzette. In order to upgrade Grasta, we go to the Grasta screen, we go to upgrade, we're going to choose the lances. Suzette is equipped with this Power of Pain. It has to be fully awakened, so you have to spend the initial amount to turn it from gray to dark blue, and then you have to spend the second amount to turn it to light blue. Once it's light blue, you can select it. You could give it a dormant ore, which in this case it will tell you it doesn't improve the damage, but it gives you a chance to inflict pain on attack. That's not very helpful with Suzette because she can inflict pain with demonic thrust and even naturally as Stellar Awakened. But if you've been collecting ore, this tab shows all of the ores that you've collected. Now you won't have nearly as many if you are just now exploring Future and Underworld. A lot of these ores come from later in the game. But there's our Insult to Injuries, there's our Last Stands, there is, let's see, there's our HP ore, there's our Bullseye, which comes from Underworld. Do I have any Rose with Thorns? I'm always low on that one. I do not. Which means they're already equipped. So let's sort by lance. There's a Bullseye. There's a Rose with Thorns. MP consumption attack on a Power of Agony. Do I have one on a Pain? Aha, I have one on a Poison. That'll work. Once you upgrade a Grasta, you'll see on the equipment screen the name of the Grasta, and then you'll see underneath which ore you have attached to it. In this case, Rose with Thorns. If you click on Details and scroll down, you'll see the effect. So she's going to increase her damage by 15%. Other noticeable increases. Garum has 6,000 base health. If we give him HP ores instead, there's one. And yes, these are already equipped on a... You might be going to the upgrade screen. There's one. And there's one. Now Garum has almost 7,000 base health, so your tank is a lot harder to kill. Same thing here, Melody. If you attach the HP ore, she's sitting at 4,200, but also remember, she has 150 health Grasta, simply because I ran out. I have a lot of staff users. So there's a 300 health, or an HP restore. There's another 300 health or an HP restore. And we'll leave the sound body for now, but now she's bumped up to 5,000 health. 7. Same thing. We look for... That's Light Shadow. We don't have access to that yet. There, we have access to that one. There's a second. And do I have a third somewhere? Was that the... Oh, I do have a third. Okay. So 3 Grasta, each with 300 health, and then 3 HP ores. That's a total of 1,800 health added to 7. He's now sitting at almost 6,000 health. And that's a lot. So she also has 300, 600, the ore 900, the ore 1200, and then sound body, she gets 1500 total extra health, and that sound body is also boosting 7 a little bit. Suzette, we have improved her damage by 15%. We could look at the other options. I don't know why I just exited out just to exit out, but alright, upgrade. We look at the lances. There's one of Suzette's. Select. And if you're just starting out, really any little bit of extra damage helps. Now you might instantly go, oh look, pain and poison ore. That looks amazing. We're doing pain and poison Grasta, right? Well, notice the description. When the user has pain, it increases damage by 50%. Now that is a huge boost, but you have to find a way to guarantee that your character will have pain. So that's kind of a situational ore. Weak point damage is often very good. Bag Baddy does not have weak points, so equipping this would not help against the Bag Baddy fight, but it would help on other fights. Adversity, if there was 4 Bag Baddies, then her damage would be... Oh, there is an enemy that has 4, but we won't bother going there. 9 lives, can give her hold ground, we can improve her critical rate, so there are... And for a while, I would go ahead and equip HP ores on Power of Pains when there was nothing else to equip, because it did make... Your damage dealer typically has the lowest amount of health, so it is a way to improve her health and her survivability even more. And then we already stuck ores on Garum and boosted his health by another 900 points. So we are going to fight Bag Baddy again. Technically, the only damage enhancing thing that we did was the Rose with Thorns ore. So we're just going to do 3s, 2s, 1s again and just see the difference. There's the 3s. 2, 2, 2, 2. Alright, all 1s. Now the Rose with Thorns is like a flat 15% damage increase. When she self-buffs from Dragon Assault, it's adding 15% more even to those hits. 361 million. I've already forgotten what the last amount was. I want to say it was 200 something, or low 300s. I'll pause the recording and double check, but 362-ish million in damage with the addition of 1 ore on Suzette. Alright, I paused, I looked at the recording. The previous one did 315 million in damage. This one did 361 million in damage. So one single ore boosted the overall damage by 40 million. So imagine if we had more ores equipped that could help with that. Alright, I think we are done here. Let's go back. I always go to the space-time rift, it's like my default. So, future Garulea. When you can access it, go ahead and start running it, only if you're done with present Garulea and Antiquity Garulea. If you just are really sick of them, you know, run this as well. I'm not trying to tell you how to play your game. I kind of am, but I'm strongly encouraging. Alright, you will want a nice collection of dormant ores. It's nice to have a few reversion ores, which I did promise to tell you what reversion is. So we just stuck revert. Lance. So we just equipped one of the Power of Pain lances with the Rose with Thorns effect. Let's say that I don't want the Rose with Thorns ore on a lance anymore. Let's say that I get a brand new damage dealer. I get Verdanta or Sesta or Thalil or someone really, really powerful, Shanghua. And I want to take this ore, because I only have like one of them, and I want to move it to someone else. If I click on Revert, I will use one of those Reversion Ores, and I will revert that Grasta. So if I check Suzette, she no longer has that ore equipped. That ore is now free to go to whoever else. So if I happen to pull Verdanta, and I'm really excited, and I happen to have a Power of Pain sword, but I don't have any Grasta to give her, I can yank the Grasta off of Suzette and then use it. Go to sword. There's Verdanta. Select it. And there is my one and only Rose with Thorns ore. So using the reversion pulls this ore off of one and allows me to go ahead and upgrade something else with it. And if I make a mistake, I can just use another reversion ore, get the items back, and throw it on whatever else I want to put it on. So that's the use of reversion ores. And you can get those for free in future Garulea Another Dungeon every 4 runs, and possibly as a reward as well at the end. So that is reversion ore. So how long should you stay in future Garulea? For that zone, I don't believe you have to stay in there for a month. The Insult to Injury, Last Stand, HP ore, 9 Lives ore, Rose with Thorns ore, all of these ores also are rewards, random rewards, in the Underworld dungeon, which is only 10 story chapters past future Garulea. So if we scroll down to it, you'll notice like completion rewards. There's your dormant ores, there's your HP ores, there is your insult to injury ores, last stand ore. So pretty much everything that you want to get from future Garulea is also in Underworld. So the moment I unlocked Underworld, I basically just switched. I ditched future Garulea and just spent all of my green keys on Underworld. Because not only does it have all of those, it has Bullseye ore. And that is the biggest damage dealing ore there is that I'm aware of. Possibly weak point ore could out damage it under the circumstances, but for a general use. So Bullseye ore, what is it? It's a flat 50% increase in damage, but it doesn't take effect in another force. So if you blow the AF burst, you're not going to get this 50% damage. But all those turns that you spend building up the AF bar, guess what? You're doing 50% more damage. It mentions on the wiki it is not stackable. So that basically is what it implies. Let's sort by swords. If I have Bullseye ore on one Grasta, and do I have another one? Adversity, damage per shadow ally. I kind of wish the UI was a little bit more straightforward. Do I have any just generic bullseyes? Well, I don't necessarily need to show you, I don't think. I can't have 3 bullseyes and get like 150% extra damage. It doesn't work that way. Once you have bullseye on something, oh yeah, there's I think a bullseye badge. Oh, good lord, I have a bunch of badges. Good luck for me trying to find that particular badge. Actually, I'll go ahead and grab a weak point badge. That one was right here. All right, ignore that for 1 second. So I can't have multiple bullseye ores. I can't have a bullseye badge and a bullseye ore. You can only have one somewhere. There are even a few weapons that have a bullseye effect. Oh, well, there's one right away. So Scarlet Glowsword. If I equip Verdanta with the Scarlet Glowsword, I have the bullseye effect. If I have an ore with the bullseye effect, that effect is not stackable with the weapon. So that means either the weapon's being wasted or the Grasta's being wasted. All right, similarly, weak point Grasta, weak point ores, weak point badges, they do not stack either. So if you have a weak point badge, and if you have a weak point strike, and if you have an item that has been upgraded with the weak point ore, they don't stack. The largest one, I believe, takes control. The weak point strike is a 50% bonus to damage, whereas weak point badge is only 30%. So I think the math will favor weak point strike, and therefore you are equipped with a badge that's doing nothing. So pay attention to anything that says not stackable, and make sure that you only have one anywhere on your character. So let's go ahead and run Underworld. Did I leave her equipped with that? I did. Ooh, I left her equipped with both. Oh, that's evil. Ooh, that would be a good way to show the bullseye ore. Okay. I'm thinking here. Remember, I didn't script this, so I'll leave those up. You saw that Verdanta was doing, what was it, about 22 million in damage per hit completely naked? Well, I've given her 1 Power of Agony with Bullseye, and I've given her 1 weak point Grasta, which, let's go back to Grasta. Because some of you might be going, well, I want a weak point Grasta. Where do I get one of those? All right, so we click on Attack. We do a search. I typed the word weak. All right, weak point strike. You can get in chapter 84 after defeating the Dark God, and then you can get it from 2 of Sebastia's lab trials, but they're both extremes. So Underworld was chapter 84 as well. So that means if you have access to Underworld, you should have access to at least 1 weak point strike badge. Its base is 30%. If you use a dormant ore, it jumps up to 50%. And that's exactly what we have equipped, 50% weak point strike. All right, let's take this team and go to the Underworld. 2 green key dungeon. Oh wait, before we enter, we want to, if we have that chance for a light or shadow point, we want to take it. All right, so we type in Underworld. I know who it is because I've been leveling her, but okay. Story character, Altina. So we want to have Altina in the party, which also means we do not care about Serene at all. So Bo, Altina. I got her to 80, and then I've been running Underworld because I was short on Rose with Thorns ores, so I threw her in, and she's gotten 8 more points since I've been running. I've gotten more shadow points than I've gotten Rose with Thorns ores. All right, once you throw in a new character, we double check. Oh, shoot, we don't have 360 light. Well, I could gather up a bunch of shadow characters and go that direction, or I could look and see who has the lowest light. Yuna, Eva, Verdanta, Sugar Ray, Izuka. All right, Izuka has 56, Yuna has 50. Let's ditch Izuka. And we need someone with close to 100 light. So let's reset the filter, filter by light, and sort by light. Anyone with over like 90, what was it, 93 light would be great. Rufus, 139. Nonald, 108, but I don't use him for anything ever. Looks like those are the only two that could gain experience. So let's grab Rufus.
Looking for a red? You got it.
All right, Rufus. All right. I have over 360 light points. I have a character with a very small chance, I think 20%, of getting another shadow point. And we have Verdanta, this time with Bullseye and Dormant Ore. Now, the Bullseye Ore is on a Power of Agony. If an enemy has pain, she will do more damage. But guess what? Yuna does not have her pain skill equipped. Eva doesn't do pain. Verdanta doesn't do pain. Shiguri, I don't know if he does or not, but I don't have any of his skills. So we're doing this painlessly. Haha. Alright. Underworld. Accessible after Chapter 84, I believe. And we'll go to the wiki. Alright. It follows the same general philosophy as future Garulea. Instead of being given a choice between two locations, you're forced to go to the first zone and clear it, and that completes a quest that lets you access the next zone, which on your second run, you go to that one, clear it, and that completing that one allows you access to the third zone, and so forth. There are a bunch of vendors in Underworld. I'm not going to go over them, but Underworld allows you to get... Where are the armors? I think the... What armors do they give? It's been a while. Non-repeatable. They do give something. There's got to be... What was the rare drop here? It was... Cat Dogu. Okay. So where is Cat Dogu? There it is. Does it tell us what we can trade for it? Of course not. I think, if I remember right, there was a quest instead. Yeah, here it is. The Oriental Bracelet, Oriental Necklace, and Oriental Ring. If you have two Cat Dogus, oh yeah, it's coming back to me. There's a guy in Nazarick that will trade you a Crooked Tail Cat Key for 2 Dogus. So in order to get all 3 armors, you need to have 6 Dogus total. And that just appears randomly. It's like a 5% or maybe 10% chance of appearing, something like that. And doing that will get you the Oriental armors, which are great because they give physical and type resistance. Early tanks will love the Oriental gear. And then pretty much the only other thing that you run Underworld for are all of the ores, and technically a little cheat way to improve your Grastas quickly with the Noble Maiden Psalms, but that's for another video entirely. Alright, so once again, recall, in future Garulea, Verdanta was doing about 22 million per hit naked. We gave her 2 Grasta. 1 Bullseye, which improves her damage by 50%, and 1 Weak Point that, as long as she is hitting a weak point, which she is, because she's Stellar Awakened, it will also improve damage by 50%. So 22 becomes 28. And there are like differences in defenses and stuff like that as well. Alright, 0 point is where you go, you collect your seed drifts, you spend seed drifts on specific ores that you want. So probably the very first ore you're going to want is to stock up on are the Bullseye ores.
Love me a good fight.
See, there was a 57 million hit. She was doing 22 million before. All depends on the defense of the enemies that she's fighting. But either way, she's doing significantly more damage. And that's just from 2 Grasta and 2 ore. She'd do a lot more if pain was on the enemies too. 56 and 57 million. Once again, there's an item that you can buy, the Soul Jewel, that lets you warp from location to location. And ultimately, like future Garulea, once you choose an ending area, either Demon's Den, Dimensional Cathedral, Ark of the Underworld, or the Dark Lord's Tomb, once you choose one of those maps, that is the final area you go to, you fight a boss, and then you're done with the zone. And you can buy items that will, uncover extra paths, which can make the run go a lot quicker.
Hey, live it while you got it, right?
All right. 57 million. And then we have the boss. Come on, chant script. Ah.
This ends here.
And that boss, according to the wiki, has 6 million in health, and Verdanta did 57. So I just killed that boss like 9 times over. Alright, the rewards. If you have 360 light or shadow, you get 5 of them. You can get gold, you can get dormant ores, you can get a chance at all those others like Rose with Thorns, Bullseye, etc. You might get treatises, you might get codices. You won't get opuses, those are a red key dungeon only item. But basically, once you kind of get in what you need out of future Garulea, once you've opened up Underworld, I would just switch over and run Underworld over and over and over again. Get those Bullseye ores, get those Rose with Thorns, buy them from Nazarick if you have to. Oh, look at that. Yes! In 4 dungeons, I finally got a shadow point, because I thought to include her before the run. So I guess she's at 89 shadow now. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the general progression up through Underworld. Start off by running present Garulea over and over and over and over again. It's probably going to be the one that you spend the most time in, because you definitely want to buy out the vendor in Nagsham completely. After you've done so, use your green keys and spend time running Antiquity over and over and over again. This one, you don't necessarily need to buy out the vendor in Zami, but you do want to buy a whole bunch of Power of Pains and Power of Poisons, and you have to hope that a lot of them drop as well. Once you've gotten enough Power of Pains and Power of Poisons to make you happy, once you open up Future Garulea, go ahead and start... Oh, didn't mean to actually click it. Go ahead and start running it over and over again and hope that things like HP ores and Rose with Thorns, those types of ores drop. And you can start getting a collection of dormant ores and reversion ores. You don't have to spend much time in future Garulea. Once you've gotten the unique armors, I think it's best just to move on to the Underworld. And then you run Underworld over and over and over again and get a nice collection of bullseyes in addition to all the previous ores. So that is the general progression. So far in this video, really all I've talked about is where to go to get ores. I really haven't given you the big picture. Why are we doing this? So to do this, we're going to break out Flammopolis. We used her in the first video for a little bit. We're going to return to Flammopolis. Flammopolis, if you're not familiar with her, she is a water magic user. She has a very powerful attack called Neptune. It's a guaranteed critical, and it will stun her on the turn following its use unless I use it in the first 3 turns of battle. She also has additional other skills. I guess everyone has additional other skills. And her base attack is a 0 MP attack that attacks all enemies. When we last used her, she was equipped with Miyake's Staff, which improves type attack, aka water attacks. She had the Guidance Ring from future Garulea, I think we said, and that improves water attacks as well. She had a 25 int badge, and we last left her equipped with a Power of Current, which was fully awakened with a Dormant Ore, so that improves water damage by 30, and a Power of Rapids that is not fully awakened, but it also improves water damage by 30. The elemental types, remember, are additive, so that means she's getting a bonus of 60% damage to water. So if we challenge 4 dummies, her base attack, Hule Treshu. Let's see. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and self-buff. We have 3 turns, so we'll use the first turn to buff, the second turn to show what the base attack does, and the third turn for Neptune. Let's do that. Alright, so turn 1, buff. That also gets rid of the break, since we have Tetra. I should probably double check the sidekicks. Oh yeah, I have guns too. Okay, we'll get rid of the sidekicks. Tetra's not contributing to the damage right now, really. Alright, turn 2, with 2 Grasta that are elemental and her gear. Hule Trishu. Does about 700,000 per enemy. Neptune, her big attack. It will attack all enemies. It's a guaranteed critical. She will not get stunned on this turn. It does 5 million on each enemy. That's not bad. Now if I use Neptune, there's another like 5.7, 5.8. Now she's going to be... Oh, did Tetra heal the stun? Oh, guess not. So we just did 49 million in damage on those 4 enemies. And before I forget, let's go ahead and ditch the sidekicks. Okay. Now this is using information from both the Part 1 video and this video. We know that the elemental Grasta are not commonly used at endgame. Flammopolis is a damage dealer. That means we want to equip the Power of Pains on her. And let's go ahead and sort by staff. Do I have any that are just pain damage? It's been a while since I last looked at all these. More damage, adversity, bullseye. There we go. And I know I saw a rose with thorns in there somewhere. There it is. For the third Power of Pain. If you are up against more than one enemy, then the adversity, or which you can get, is a very helpful one, which I did see somewhere. There it is, adversity. So we have simply swapped her out for 3 Power of Pains, 1 with Bullseye, 1 with Rose with Thorns, and 1 with adversity. Last Stand Ore. All Rose with Thorns and Last Stand can be gotten from both future Garulea and Underworld. Bullseye only from Underworld. Her weapon, armor, and badge are staying the same. If you farm up her special Grasta, you could give her an extra 5 intellect and 5 endurance. If you have a character that has more than one style, she has her normal style and Volva, her AS style, she can equip either one of those special Grasta. But since it's normal style, we'll just say that we ran... Where is hers? Let's... If you're not sure where to go to her character page, scroll down, click on Scotty, Beast King's Castle, very hard. So if you run Beast King's Castle over and over and over again, you will eventually get 10 Scotty tomes, which you can then trade in and awaken for 1 Scotty proof. By itself, it's basically just a stat stick. It gives her an extra 5 intellect and 5 endurance. So that's all we've done. Now we need a source of pain. We know that if we have Suzette Stellar Awakened in the fight, that she will automatically set pain on everything. And just so we don't mess up or anything. So we're going to put Suzette... Does she have a skill that does not do damage? Because that would be ideal. Nope, doesn't look like it. Alright, she's going to use her base skill. So Suzette's presence will just automatically stick pain on the enemies. So that's all we've done. Bullseye, Rose with Thorns, Last Stand, 3 Power of Pains, her special Grasta, just for a little extra intellect, and then a Source of Pain. No sidekicks, no reserves, no nothing. So she did 49 million in damage before. Total. And each of her big hits was doing around 5.6, 5.7, 5.8 million in damage. Alright, we are going to buff again. We need to use up that break. That's going to throw off our numbers. Alright, we're going to do 1... Oh, inflict break. That doesn't help either. We'll do 1 Dragon Assault. It probably won't do that much since she's unequipped. Alright. Alright, so subtract about 600,000 per enemy. So we'll subtract about 24. We'll subtract 2.5 million from the grand total. Alright, so we have cast our buff. Hule Treshu. Last time, without the Grasta, she was doing around, what was it, about 500,000 per hit? This time, 3.5 million per hit. That increased 7 times. Let's do her Neptune now. 27 million per enemy. Last time it did, what was it, like 5? So now we'll do another Neptune. She's stunned. And the fight's over. So we did 49 million before. This time we did... That's a lot of numbers. 242 million in damage. That's 5 times as much damage as before, and all we did was give her the Pain Grasta, gave her a Source of Pain, and then gave her Bullseye, 50%, Rose with Thorns, 15%, and Last Stand Ore, which improves by 30% for each enemy. There were 4 enemies. That was a huge world of difference, right? Her gear stayed the same. Miyake's Guidance and Int Badge, same on both. But wait, there's more. Let's take a look at her personality page. She is Clergy, Staff, Glutton, Titan, Demon Sword, Water. Well, we got a lot to work with here. Alright, let's first look at Glutton, Titan, and Demon Sword. On the Grasta page, there is a Glutton shareable Grasta. You get it from going to the Wasteland Sector 1B, which is accessible in if you're doing the Apex of Logic and Cardinal Scales, Chapter 6, and it will improve type attacks by 25%. Demon Sword. Is there a Demon Sword? Demon, demon, demon. Nope, there are no Demon Sword Grastas to get. We can ignore that one. And the third trait was Titan. So we use search, Titan. Nothing there. No other results. Okay, so of her 3 personalities, Glutton. Oh yeah, Clergy. We missed Clergy. Alright, there's an Almighty Power Clergy available. Apocrypha, Chapter 5, craft using some tools. So, Wonder in the Vortex, Chapter 5. Oh yeah, Mariel's chapter. That was a good one. Kind of creepy. Alright, so we know that Clergy and we know that Glutton both have shareable Grasta. Let's see if anyone has both. So, Clergy and Glutton. Go to the filter, add those in. Hello, Clergy. Hello, Glutton. Did I pass them up already? Did I? There's Clergy. Alright, so Glutton. There's Glutton. Okay. So we have Clergy and Glutton selected. Here's all of the people that I have that fit at least one of those requirements. So we could just open them up. This might be a spoiler for certain abilities. There's Clergy only. Clergy only. More Clergy. Clergy. Glutton. Glutton. Was there a way to select both? There's Glutton. Sometimes what I'll do, I'll just choose one of them and scroll through and just look for the other one. So, let's see. Glutton. Clergy. Both. Because it's her. Manalka is definitely not Clergy. Alright, we've cycled through all of them, and there's no other character that has both traits. So when that happens, Phlomopolis is a staff user. So I will look for other staff users. One with one trait, one with the other. So let's start with Glutton. These are all of my Gluttons. And right away I see that Nagi is a staff user. And Glutton. So if we choose personality traits, if you have Glutton, fully awakened, looking nice and orange there, equip it. And now Nagi is buffing Phlomopolis by 25%. And now the easier one, a staff clergyman, which is probably like 20 people. No, just 9. Okay. Alright, we have Mariel, we have Rosetta, we have and Yuna. Let's just grab Mariel. Oldie but goodie, used her for a long time. She can hold the clergy, Grasta. Next, Phlomopolis is a water user and a staff user. So we turn to our staff people, sort by staff. We know that at this point in the game we could get 2 Enhance if Max HP staves equipped. One from Present Garulea, Another Dungeon, and one from the Astral Archives. So that's good. From Present Garulea, Another Dungeon, we should have Power of Rapids staff somewhere. There it is. That improves water type attacks. And would we have anything else at this point? I'm trying to look at the items that would be chapter 84 and less. Guess not. Whenever you run out of Grasta, then I turn to things like Sound Body. Sound Body staff you do get at the end of chapter 84. Equipping it doesn't necessarily improve damage. Technically with Mind's Eye and stuff, it does kind of improve damage a little bit, but the reason I equip Sound Body type stuff is just to improve survivability. So I've run out of Grasta to equip, so I'm going to give Sound Body. So now Flammopolis has a little bit more health and a lot more damage. So we're going to do the exact same thing now. We have Suzette present just for pain. And Flammopolis is going to do the exact same rotation. This time, her Grasta are staying exactly the same. The new Grasta are all on the people in the back row. We have Clergy, Power of Rapid Staff, Glutton, and 2 Enhance if Max HP stabs. And she's at max HP.
Cruising for a bruising, huh?
First turn, she is going to buff. And we're going to do Demonic Thrust again, just keep everything the same. Alright, with those 2 characters in the reserves, if Flammopolis runs around using her 0 MP farming skill, Hule Treshu, this time 16 million per enemy. You could kill a lot of trash that way. Every single dungeon that we just did, Underworld, Future Garulea, Antiquity, Present Garulea, all of them, the enemies only had like 30, 40, 50, 60,000. She, with those Grasta alone, can clear all of those dungeons by herself. But wait, there's more. Neptune time. 63 million? Did I see that right? Do another Neptune. Yeah, 63 on each Bag Baddy. And now she's stunned. So this time we did 579 million in damage. So what was before? It was like 300 million, something like that. It is getting late in the evening. I've been up for a long time. But I know it wasn't in the 400 millions, and it definitely wasn't in the 500 millions. She stayed the same. It was the reserve characters, the people holding that shareable Grasta, that made the difference. And then, but wait, there's more. Remember that the purpose of all these videos is to help you form a team. This is Flammopolis just soloing everything right now. Let's restore her MP and give her a water team to work with.
I much prefer the night.
I am a night owl as well, Suzette. Alright, so this is kind of putting everything together. Not just the Grasta videos and the ore videos, but everything. And this is not the final video. There's a lot more things I want to talk about, but Grasta and ore definitely are probably the biggest components of another Eden. Man, I'm still scrolling. Okay. So let us go to type in tier list. Types. We're going to form a water team around Flammopolis. She is going to be our damage dealer. And she has gear that is all available prior to Underworld, another dungeon. So let's find some people to help her out with? Let's find some free characters. Might actually just be easier to do it this way. Water. Okay, the 4th slot I usually use for a tank of some kind. And I'm trying to remember actually, who did we use before? We used Claudia at one point. Oh yeah, we used Kula. She has the ability to inflict rage. Kind of forgot all about her. We used Claudia. She's a free character. And back with the, we were giving her some extra health. And a 4th character. Who else is free that would actually help? Riz is free, but she won't help. Zone setter. We should probably grab either Aisha or Cyrus. Let's grab Aisha. She's a free character. I like using her. If you don't have Aisha, she's a free character. After chapter 13, just go to Parsifal Palace and there'll be a quest there. You do one single quest and she is yours. You don't even have to finish the quest. If you accept it, she joins as a guest. And she's interesting. She's a very early character that can deploy both Raging Fire Stance and Sacred Water Stance. And then her other attacks, it depends on the stance. If it's a fire type attack, Eternal Fantasia will boost the party. If it's a water attack, then, or if it's a water zone, then it reduces the enemy's power and intellect and everything. So let's take a look at Jewel Concerto. Type resistance decreases. Okay, we'll go with that. Alright, skills. Healing Melody, we don't care about. Fairy Gift improves party's intellect. That makes Flammopolis very happy. I think, was she power or int based? She does magic attacks, I know that. Sometimes, like if you look at Alma's description, it will say it's a magic attack, but it's based on user's power. I just want to make sure it didn't say that on Flammopolis. She is a Titan after all. Okay. So Claudia has Fairy's Gift, which improves intellect for the whole party. That's good. And when tactics level is higher, I could actually improve damage that way. And then she has Frozen Dance, which doesn't really help at all, and Healing Melody, which doesn't help at all. I wonder if I should have her sing. Ugh, I hate singers. At turn end, activate Fairy Gift. Okay, we'll just do that. We'll leave Flammopolis as she is. 3 power of pains. Oh, we need pain. Almost forgot about that. Did anyone... Let's see, let's go back to the wiki. Here's our water list. Who can do pain? That's rage. Pain. Claudia can, supposedly. Where was Claudia's skills? Did I miss pain somewhere? Singing. I don't see pain anywhere. Aisha can do pain according to this. Alright, do I see the little pain icon? Oh, it's probably from... Yeah, we don't care about that. Alright, it says Aisha can do pain. Creation's Prelude. 100% chance, 3 turns. Alright, let's do it. I'm glad we checked. Alright, so... we don't really care about reducing the enemy's power. So we are going to swap and do Creation's Prelude. So there's our pain setter. Alright, so we have a zone setter, we have a pain setter, we have buffs, and we have rage. So we have a complete team. Let's see how they do against the bag baddies. Alright. Turn 1. We set the water zone. We can go ahead and do a fairy's gift. That will improve Flammopolis' intellect by 30%, and you'll notice it says it stacks 3 times. I don't know what the cap is, but after stacking 3 times, that will be nice. Okay, first turn, we are going to Baptizo Soul, and a good tank would inflict rage on the first turn. Alright, turn number 2. Diamond Breath will improve intellect even more. We're going to see what Hule Treshu does right now. We'll go ahead and start singing. It reduces type resistance as well as constantly casts Fairy's Gift. So the intellect will continue to stack and we're going to see type resistance decrease. And let's go ahead and get Pain and Poison on all enemies. Alright, Hule Treshu, 14 to 32 million, depending on crits. Now the big one. What can Neptune do now? We have singing going on, we have a water zone going on, we have pain on 3 enemies, not the 4th one. Interesting. Looks like it does pain or poison. That's good to know. Alright, so pay attention to the numbers of the top 3 bag baddies. We'll go ahead and flow Concerto. That will reduce water resistance even more, making Neptune even deadlier. And we cast this. It lasts 3 turns. So we will go ahead and improve critical rate by 100%. Neptune did 318 million just on the top left bag baddie. You can see the huge gaps in health already. Let's do that again. So we will go ahead and... I don't know if I cast Creation's Prelude, I'm not sure if that will replace the pain with possibly poison. That wouldn't be very good. It says preemptive poison and pain on all enemies, but there's only one of each on each. Oh well. We'll do another Flow Concerto. And we'll do another Diamond Breath. Why not? And another Neptune. Alright, look at the health bars of the 4 bag baddies. That's teamwork for you, and shared Grasta. So let's go ahead and just attack, and be done with it, and see what the grand total is now. $2.5 billion in damage. And it would have been higher, except that Flammopolis stuns herself when she Neptunes. Could you kill things with 2.5 billion with this kind of a party? All of the gear, all of the Grasta, all of the ores are all available from Chapter 84 and earlier. The characters themselves are free. Except for Flammopolis, of course. So that is kind of how we put teams together. And as you can see, Flammopolis is doing extremely nice damage on everything. If we want to see another side of it, let's stay in Nagsham. We'll challenge one dummy this time.
クーラ負けないよ
Now remember that one of Flammopolis's ores is adversity, and it kicks in when there's more than one enemy. There's not, there's only one. So we are going to go ahead and set up. Do one Fairy's Gift, Water Zone.
みんなに力をビーダ 援護するよ
We're going to buff the party. We're going to go ahead and start attacking, I think. We are going to start singing. And let's attempt to do this Poison and Pain one more time.
力強く一気に
I do not see pain on the enemy. Well, that's disappointing. Alright, we'll blow the AF gauge on this turn and see if we can't work some pains in. So we're going to do 2, 1, 1, and if I see pain, I'll switch to all ones. If not, I'll try to keep doing a 2. So 2, 1, 1. I see pain. Alright, we're just going to spam. Spam, spam, spam. Now, one note, remember in an AF burst, the bullseye ore is not in effect. So we don't have adversity, we don't have bullseye during that burst. Alright,
援護するよ
now you will see Neptune with the bullseye ore. And we'll just go ahead and do whatever. Attack and attack, why not?
なんだなキュー
And Neptune, 236 million. Now obviously the numbers are going to be a little bit lower because there aren't 4 enemies. One of the ores never kicked in, and of course if you're doing 200,000 per enemy and there's 4 enemies, the numbers are going to be very inflated. But look at this, Bag Baddy has 1 billion in health, and if she wasn't stunned right now, you know for a fact we would go ahead and finish that off. So we'll just attack and attack right now.
なんだなキュー
So direct damage, we did 965 million on a boss. I'm pretty sure this video is a little bit shorter than the one I just recorded earlier today, but all the same, I don't want to make another 3-hour-long video and risk people falling asleep. So what I plan on doing, we formed a team that we saw is capable literally of with billions of damage over several turns. So it's one thing to form a team that's good against Bag Baddy. Is it practical? Will it actually get you to have progress in the game? So we are going to go fight a super boss, Sinus Aestuum 20,000 BC, with this water team. Now, we have no Grasta, no gear on Asia. Claudia has very basic Grasta. Flammopolis is geared the way we had her with the Bag Baddy. And Kula has just a few HP related Grasta. If you were doing this for real, you would be giving them things like HP recovery fists with extra health and stuff like that to really beef them up. So keep that in mind. I'm not going to bother, just because I'm lazy. If you get into a fight, remember that Flammopolis has that first turn 0 MP attack. Hule Treshu. It is preemptive as well, so she will always go first if that's the skill that she's using. So see, that's not preemptive. That's not preemptive. And that's not preemptive. Okay, I want to make sure we didn't have any preemptive. Flanopolis also has the ability to put break on all the enemies, so her preemptive attack will definitely crit. So if we Hule Treshu with all that Grasta, we just did 2 million per hit. Plenty of damage for trash. So here is Sinus Aestuum. I have him up, it's a spirit. We'll go with him. I have him up on the wiki. It is naturally weak to water. So I'm using the wiki to discover what the weakness is. Well, she is a water user. In addition, if we could look at the wiki, Sinus Aestuum is by itself. I don't see anything about other ads or anything like that. So this Power of Pain with the Last Stand or the Adversity, the pain is nice because it will improve the damage of the other pains, but the Adversity ore is kind of worthless. So we can do one of two things. We could simply attach a different ore on it, or that weak point badge that we got at the end of chapter 84. If it's fully awakened, she's going to do 50% extra damage. And the boss, we know, is weak to water, so she will be hitting weak points for sure. So this would be a case where you would want 2 Power of Pains and a weak point strike. That's going to do more damage overall than 3 Power of Pains, but only because she's hitting a weakness. Otherwise, we're just going to leave the team as it is. There's still no sidekicks. The reserve characters are holding all shareable Grasta that you got from present Garulea dungeon up through the current stuff. So nothing that is really super difficult to get, though a couple of them, like Almighty Power Clergy, you just spend some time in Wanderer in the Vortex. Now we know from the test dummy that she was doing massive amounts of damage just naturally. So I could just use a Neptune right off the bat and see what happens. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm skipping the self buff, and I may or may not have the benefit of a water zone when I do this. Alright, so we saw that we did about 50 million in damage. And the team is pretty hurt, actually. So what we can do, we can go ahead and blow the AF gauge and attempt to get pain on the enemy. So we'll blow the AF gauge, we'll go ahead and work in 1 Baptisto Soul, and that will allow us to get water type attack damage improved. But we're going to do 2, 2, 3, and 2, and we're just going to spam all 1s. That will get us to the HP stopper. 2, 2, 3, 2. I still don't see pain. Not sure how much I care. I see poison. Alright, let's go ahead and start singing. It's turn number 3, so I will not get stunned if I do a Neptune. We'll try a pain again. It's supposed to be 100%, but I guess not. And does it have rage? It does have rage, so we'll just attack. And we just did 250 million. The boss itself, according to the wiki, only has 208 million, so a 50% HP stopper just meant we needed to do about 104 million in damage. So we more than doubled what we needed, and that was without pain. You saw how the team did get low on health. If we had completely properly geared and I had not been lazy, Aisha would have had... why did I choose Shade? So Aisha's base health was 3,600. If I gave her a lot of these HP restores with HP ores, not that one, we'll steal melodies. And of course she didn't have any defenses either. She wasn't wearing armor, nothing. There's one. Instead of 3,600, Aisha would have had 5,400. And if I'd given her actual armor and stuff too, she probably would have had even more. Tempered ring, 5,500. So she would not have been nearly as close as she was to being knocked out. Same with the other two, Claudia and Kula. Claudia did not have armor or a badge, and her Grasta was not upgraded. And Kula didn't have a badge, and 2 of her Grasta were not upgraded. So imagine how much easier that would have been had I actually just bothered to equip my own team. But I knew that Flammopus was able to pump out a lot of damage, and sure enough, she did fine. She was able to defeat a tier... where is the super boss? A level 9 super boss with a free team. The damage she did was largely because, not of pain, but the weak point, and then the shareable Grasta in the background. And technically not all of these were in effect. Enhance if max HP only works when she was at max health, and she was not. That final blow probably could have been a lot stronger had she been at full health, and had the enemy had pain. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes my introductory 2-part video series about Grasta. There is a lot more. I know I just literally spent probably 5 hours in videos discussing Grasta. That's, I don't want to say it's scratching the surface. That's probably dug into the surface a little bit. But we talked heavily about attack Grasta, that there's a whole bunch of them, and fairly overwhelming. And the main things you're keen into are looking for anything that says shareable, and looking at the location. As you get stronger, and as your party gets stronger, and you're able to do more challenges, you're going to naturally be able to take on some of the tougher challenges and get some of the harder to reach Grasta. But we talked about attack Grasta, and that goes to your DPS character and your reserves. We talked about life Grasta, how you look for anything with 300 health, and then the ores that give an additional 300 health, so you can buff up party members or tanks with a lot of extra health. We haven't really talked at all about all of the support Grasta yet. A lot of type resistances and all that. To be perfectly honest, full transparency, most of these I don't use. Really, I use self-improvement because that gives you a nice boost to experience. And the other Grasta that I have found helpful, which I thought was under here, drain and boost proficiency. And I'm going to cover those in, I'm probably going to make another video that is a little more in-depth about Grasta. I'm going to probably let this one sit for a month or two, let people watch this video, hopefully learn from it, and go, the things I learned from your video, Crono, it was great. I was able to defeat some things that I never was able to defeat before. And thank you, which if that happens, please comment below. You know, I love the thanks. But what's going to happen is, once you get comfortable with the basics, then you're going to want to learn the advanced stuff. And drain and boost proficiency Grasta are, in my opinion, part of the more advanced stuff. Basically, in short, if you have something that drains your enemy's power by 25%, if you have a drain proficiency, it's more than 25%. And if you have a skill that like buffs the party's intellect by like 30%, and you're equipped with boost proficiency, it's actually more than 30%. That's kind of those two in a nutshell. We didn't we kind of glossed over the Valor Chants. They're basically stat sticks for whatever stats they have. And we kind of sort of also glossed over the Fated Proof Grastas, which are probably better in all regards than the Valor Chant Grastas. For example, here, Hrungnir Proof, I can have 30 HP and 5 power, or I could have, did I say 30 HP? 300 HP or 5 power, or I could have 300 HP, 25 mana, 5 power, 5 intellect, 5 speed, 5 endurance, 5 spirit, and 5 luck. Which would you equip? I know which one I would equip. But I did kind of point out, at least as you run your dungeons and collect the Fated Star Fragments, I did mention in the first video where to go to trade those in for the Fated Star Proofs, but that's really all I've talked about them. They have other uses, including upgrading your personal Grastas. And then we touched on ores. I covered the big ones, Bullseye, Rose with Thorns, HP ores, but there are many, 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 many other ores that I have not talked about at all. And there's a lot of attack Grastas that I haven't touched. I basically used the last video and this video to focus on people who are at Underworld or prior in the story content. So things like Resonant Power Shadow, Resonant Power Light, a lot more of the Enhance if Max HP elements. Those are found much further on, like Intrana's another dungeon, or Sebastia's Lab, the Trials. So I will make a video on those, but I'm going to let this video and its predecessor kind of just sit on my channel for a couple of months and give people an opportunity to watch them. Please give me feedback on these videos. Were they too long? Were they too confusing? Did I lay it out in a relatively understandable way? Did you fall asleep about 30 minutes in? Because I am a teacher and that does happen. You know, give me some feedback. I would love to hear what you think about these videos and really all my videos in general. I'm always looking for feedback. You can post in the comments below. I will probably bring these videos up on Reddit at some point, looking for feedback there. Please be honest. I am not going to get upset. Remember, I'm not getting paid for any of this stuff. I'm doing this for fun. And if what I'm doing is not getting the message across, I need to look at what I'm doing and change it. That's what good teachers, good people do. So I say the word "so" a lot. I've noticed that when I'm editing, I kind of, it's that conjunction or whatever the English term is. I'm not an English teacher, but I will say like "so," and then I'll trail off like I'm thinking about something, when a lot of times I'm just trying to decide where I'm going next. I should just be quiet and just edit it out. But I say "but" and "anyway" a lot as well. So, with that in mind, hopefully these videos have given you all a starting point. You look at your character. Is this a damage dealer? If it's a damage dealer, give them Power of Pains. If your character is a tank, give them anything that can improve their health. If your character is a support character, if they are in the front line, give them health. If your support character is in the back line, give them the shareable Grasta. If you want to risk imminent death, you could give shareable Grasta to people in the front line. But if there's a choice between shareable Grasta in the front and shareable Grasta in the back, throw them in the back. Put them on the reserve characters. Make your front line more survivable. Sometimes you don't have that choice, so then it becomes, do you want the shareable Grasta, or do you want to make sure that your support character lives? And that's kind of a decision that you have to make. It's different for every fight. But that's Grasta and ores in a very basic, very general way. There are many fights in the game where you want to get very specific, but I found, going through the game myself, if I followed this general philosophy, I was able to overcome almost any challenge. Do I want to say it that way? except for the extreme challenges like the Astral Archive challenge modes, the stellar fights for weapon manifests, or weapon discoveries, tempering, that's the word. So many manifest stuff. Weapon tempering fights use this philosophy, but often have a lot of tweaks. Like if you watch anyone's YouTube video on a weapon tempering fight, you're going to see the pains used by the damage dealers, but you may or may not see like bullseye. You might see other ores attached. Like that's that customization that will come really with experience. But 95% of the game, pains with bullseye, rose with thorns, and the third one kind of whatever, or weak point, hit points, hit points, hit points, shareable, shareable. That's the breakdown. And that will get you through a lot. So use the wiki, go to the Grasta page, look to see what you need, look to see where it is, and maybe you make that your challenge for the day. Like, let's go to the Book of Slash and Cleave today and make sure we pick up a second Enhance if max HP sword and a second Enhance if max HP katana. Take a little while, but what you get now will last you at least through all the game's content that's available as of February 2026. Today was a long day. It's almost 11 o'clock my time, and I started this around 7 this morning. Yeah. All right. Hope this helps. Ask me questions. Give me feedback. And if you have successes, if you finally beat that one boss that you had been trying to figure out for weeks and was giving you fits and you were ready to rage quit, and you saw this video and re-geared your characters, and suddenly that boss wasn't so challenging anymore. Maybe it was even easy. Feel free to share those experiences. I love seeing that in my posts. Hope this helps. Casual Crono, signing out.